Welcome to California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz. We are joined today by Ed Hernandez. He is a member of the California State Senate. He is my eye doctor. I recently went to his office. I don't know if you saw the episode. These are my new reading glasses. They are a life changer. I thank you, Dr. Ed Hernandez. Just for our viewers who didn't see the episode, why is it I now need these reading glasses as I'm in my 40s?
Well, as I mentioned to you when you had your eyes examined, you have a natural aging change called presbyopia, where you're losing your ability to focus and unfortunately requires you some kind of help with regard to reading.
And I thank you for that examination. It's nice to have a doctor in the state legislature, and that's what we have. And as a result, as we look at the Affordable Care Act and Covered California, we just finished our first full year. And just the way it goes, some legislation needs to be passed to clean up some issues. But there is one piece of legislation I know you're particularly proud. SB 20 deals with creating some sunshine with Covered California. Tell us about that bill, which was signed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, we were very successful in the first open enrollment. We blew numbers away better than any other state, the leader in the nation. But the most difficult one is going to be the second enrollment period, which we have been working constantly and diligently with the Covered California, the administration, to make sure that's just as successful. All the legislation I introduced this year is dealing with health care, but this one in particular is to make sure that Covered California is going to be transparent with regard to its network adequacy, but also dealing with the Department of Managed Health Care to look at the providers, that they give the exact provider list, and more importantly, which providers are taking new patients.
What about the question of narrow networks? There has been a concern that California's Covered California list is not broad enough, and it's really to the detriment of the consumer. What's your sense of the question of narrow networks?
That's going to expand, but let me tell you why it was narrow initially.
Okay.
When Covered California, their role is to provide a product at a good price, but also quality health care. But when we've polled the consumers in this state, the absolute highest priority still is cost.
Right.
So when they're negotiating, if they can negotiate a better deal with fewer doctors and they give them more patients, the price is going to go down.
And what you just said has been purportedly proven. I'm sure you saw a McKinsey study came out which talked about how with narrow networks there is savings, in this case 17% over what's known as broad networks, and one would hope that would be passed down to the consumer.
It does, and it's done through the active purchasing by Covered California. So if you're a provider and you say, okay, I want to have a contract with you and I'll give you more patients, but you have to give me a better price. Now, as the consumers start to sign up for Covered California and more people come onto the rolls, those networks are going to grow. But if you were to ask the consumer, what's more important? You want a lot of doctors or a lower price? I can guarantee they're still going to say they want a lower price point.
I have health insurance. It's not through Covered California, so I may not be the perfect case study. But we'll go on to the website to try to figure out which doctor is in network for a certain category. It's not easy, sir. It's really quite difficult. And I live in Los Angeles County, and we'll presume that in Los Angeles County there'd be a lot of choice. But you know, for some of the specialties, we're not finding that. And I know with Covered California, there is not an online directory up as we speak for some of the networks. Where do we go with that issue?
That's going to change with the legislation I introduced. The plans, Covered California, Medi-Cal are going to have to put up the networks, the network adequacy of them. But the question you have is the question that's been asked by a lot of consumers. More importantly, do doctors take new insurance patients? Do they take Covered California, and or do they take Medi-Cal? That's what's going to be on the webpage that you're going to be able to see. It's January of this year.
Okay, so we're hopeful this will, I mean, is this going to happen?
It is. It was signed into law. The governor signed that into legislation. But more importantly, in the past, the way we used to approach the insurance companies, we would say, give us a list of all your providers. Or your providers. They would give a list of all the providers, but it didn't specify which ones took Medi-Cal. Which ones take Covered California, and which ones take, you know, another insurance type of plan. Well, this time, what we're going to have to do is they're going to have to not only give that list, but they're going to have to say which ones take each plan and which ones take new patients as well.
Will there be a compare and contrast as well? So let's say you are a Covered California customer. There are, I think, right now 14 plans in Covered California. I'm not sure if that's the exact number. Can you do a compare and contrast so you can see whether this network provides this doctor, these specialists, this cost?
You should be able to. You should be able to as well.
Is that a state mandate? Is that something the insurance companies will do?
Well, that'll be a state mandate, but also in the past, the insurance companies were required to send something in, say, every 3 years.
Right.
Now they're going to be required to do it yearly, but it has to be an accurate list and updated yearly as well.
I want to talk about Latino enrollment. You have been a big booster of Latino enrollment. We've discussed before how in the early days of the first enrollment period, Latino enrollment was really abysmal.
Right.
But by the end, it hit pretty close to projections. What I've noticed and what I've read lately, and this actually is not specific to Latinos, but under the Affordable Care Act, if one cannot provide proof of citizenship, they will lose their coverage under Covered California. In our state, that's disproportionately impacting Latinos. Where do we go with that issue? I know there's nothing a state senator can do because that's federal law, but that is a tricky issue, especially when you think about what's happening in Texas with Ebola. There's no borders when it comes to Ebola, and so where do we go with that question of the undocumented, uninsured?
We can do a couple things. Number one is, to get a federal subsidy, you have to be a United States citizen. So if you can't show proof of citizenship, you're not going to qualify.
Okay.
We do have a system where if you're undocumented or don't have insurance, you can go to our federally qualified health centers. They get additional federal money and state money. It's called wraparound money to help those individuals. But California may be taking a lead. Last year, as you know, Senator Laura introduced the bill for the undocumented. It got held in appropriations because of the cost. We're working with Senator Laura, the Latino caucus, to see how we're going to address that, to be able to make sure that those who come here, who work, are part of this system, can get health care at an affordable cost.
I mean, is there a way to pencil it out so in the end, if you cover them, the state will pay less, because if the state doesn't cover them, they go to the emergency rooms, and then the state pays more because someone picks up the tab of the emergency rooms?
I mean, yeah, it's got to be a win-win. First of all, it can't come out of the general fund, because I don't think the voters of the state would allow that or would tolerate that, and I don't think the governor would either. We have to figure a mechanism that the individuals themselves, the undocumented, can pay into it in some kind of form or another to help offset those costs. An example, just recently they've got the ability to get driver's license. Why don't we look at, instead of that $35 fee, let's assess all the individuals who are undocumented and have, it's just a thought that, have driver's license, assess them a little bit more, and that'll offset some of the health care costs for the undocumented. Idea. So these are just things that we in the legislature need to deal with.
So recently, I saw that a gentleman whose name is Barack Obama came to the San Gabriel Valley. You represent significant portions of the San Gabriel Valley. You got to meet the President of the United States first time?
Actually, the second time.
Second time.
Second time, yes.
He was here to declare the San Gabriel Mountains a national monument. I know that wasn't your bill, but talk to us about that event, seeing the president, being there.
Yeah, it's important, historic. As you know, Hilda Solis, when she was in Congress, started the issue. Judy Chu took it over and championed it. But what's great about that occurring, I know there was a lot of controversy, is the fact that now that it's considered a national monument, we potentially can get some federal dollars to make sure that the parks stay open. The Forestry Service is now control of it. They can have access. I really believe that it's something that's very, very important to this part of the San Gabriel Valley.
What was it like to me? I've never met him. I mean, is he electric when you meet him? Is he stoic when you meet him?
No, he's a very engaging individual. And I'll tell you, I've been involved in the legislature for a while. I've met a lot of public servants. And I'm quite tall. He's one of the very few individuals that we see eye to eye. He's about 6'2", 6'3", so he's my height.
I like it.
So we shook hands, and I said hello. We talked to each other very briefly.
That's great.
And he's tall.
He is Senator Ed Hernandez on Bright Pomerantz. It's California Edition.